When we are looking to eat healthier, we should be trying to get a diet that is mainly made up of whole foods and very few processed foods. The reason we should be avoiding processed foods, or especially over processed foods, is that first of all, they are a bit of an unknown. We don't necessarily know the quality and quantity of the ingredients that are going to be put into that food. We may see the ingredients list on the food packet. Often there's a number of ingredients there that we have no idea what they actually are. Even something as simple as sugar can be labeled as many different names: sucrose, dextrose, fructose, maltose, just lots of names for the same ingredient. We also don't know, when we see those added ingredients, what chemical process those ingredients have gone through to be able to be put into the food. So for example, something like soy lecithin that is made from soybeans has to go through a harsh chemical process to be created and therefore to be added to the food. The quantity of those ingredients as well, there's no breakdown. How much meat is added into our meat pie, how much sugar is added, how much salt is added. We can look at the nutritional information and it gives us an idea of the total amount per 100 grams or the total amount per serving, but we don't actually know what the recipe for that ingredient is. And especially the quality of what's going into that food, the quality of the meat that's going in there, and the other products that are going to that food. What is it made from? When you go to the butchers, you can choose the meat, you can choose the cut of meat, you can choose the where you get your milk or your dairy products from, you can choose the flour you put in. You don't know what is going into that processed food. And the more highly processed it is, and the cheaper that food is, you can only guess as to the quality that's been made from. If any of you have tried to make a recipe from home, you'll know how much more expensive it is to make something like a pie from scratch than buying it. And that should make you worried as to the quality of those ingredients that are going in. And we know that if the quality of the ingredients going in isn't as high, then they are adding something else to make that food palatable. And that flavoring or that salt, that sugar addition is not going to be creating a healthier dish for us. In addition, the processing of foods changes how our body digests foods. For example, if you look at how they refine the ingredients of bread, flour, especially nowadays, than 50 years ago, it's much less coarse when it goes into your bread. And because it's so well refined, it's so easy for your body to digest. Now, having something easily digestible isn't always a good thing. Yes, we want your stomach to be able to deal with the food and not give you indigestion, but when I'm talking about easily digestible, I mean easily converting from food into energy. When you highly refine a food, you effectively increase its glycemic index. Those of you that have watched my video on the glycemic index will know this is basically how quickly your body turns food into energy. So something like pure sugar will go instant into energy, and that's what gives us that sugar rush. But then we know what follows the sugar rush is a sugar crash. The same thing happens with highly refined processed food, is that it's so easily digestible, it almost gets digested like sugar, and therefore the energy comes to us instantly, but then it goes away quickly too. And that creates those spikes of insulin and those dips that will not only bring back hunger, but also trigger our body to store more fat. So if you're looking to lose weight, lose fat, eating a diet high in processed food is very difficult to create the conditions in which you are able to lose fat. Conversely, with whole foods, you know what's going in. You can identify it as something that you can eat. You know a cut of meat is a cut of meat. You know a potato is a potato. You haven't got to look at ingredients label to determine what is in that food. And you can determine also the quantities that you're putting into your meal. And you can also choose the quality that you're putting into your meal. Generally, whole foods will leave you feeling more satiated, so more full, less hungry, and they will provide a greater micronutrient density than processed foods and a lower calorific density. So therefore, you'll eat a larger portion of whole foods and it will give you fewer calories than a smaller portion of processed food. And that's really what it's all about if we're looking to change our body composition, reduce our body fat, is being able to eat the quantity of food that leaves us satiated and full without eating more calories than we need to sustain our activity levels. Whenever you get the chance, try to stick to a diet of whole foods and try to avoid processed foods as much as possible. That is going to get you on the path to hitting your body composition and your performance goals. Sometimes processed foods are an option that you need to take. I talked about this in my video earlier in the week, in that sometimes if you want to get the amount of protein you need to get, it's difficult to do that on a budget wise or a time wise or a calorie wise. So therefore you may have to have a protein shake which is made of whey protein or soy protein, I suppose, if you are a vegan. Other times there may be some foods that are refined minimally that just it's easier to store with that small processing practice. For example, milk is processed obviously to make it last longer, or sometimes they take the fat out of milk. That is acceptable. Something that started off as one thing and you cannot identify it as any kind of plant or animal at the end of it is less acceptable. As the CrossFit food methodology goes, it's very simple. Eat meat and vegetables, nuts and seeds, some fruit, little starch, and no sugar. If you can do that, and you can do that with whole foods, you're going to be on the right track for success.